Hello everyone, I'm Carly and I would die by chocolate cake.
And I'm Sam, and why not carrots? I mean, she's orange.
And welcome to Reader Seats with Carly and Sam, our brand new book-based podcast covering all the latest hits and some stories off the beaten path.
With a few fun and exclusive episodes mixed in between.
And y'all, we are in for a doozy today because we are covering the third book of the Empyrean series, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros.
And the plot thickens with this one. I'm talking even more dragons, even more magic, more secrets, more betrayal. So as always, make sure that you're aware spoilers are going to be had. You've been warned.
And not only are there going to be spoilers for this book, but also the previous two. If for some reason you are here and you have not read the previous two books, also that.
Yes. Be warned.
Yeah, I am so excited to talk about this book. I've literally been waiting since the day it came out.
Yeah, you're the one that got me into this series.
Yes.
So
now we're all in this together.
I know, yeah. Now I've been sucked into this universe.
Yeah, I think that this series is always going to be really near and dear to my heart as someone with a chronic illness. Seeing someone like Violet, who also has a chronic illness, and experience this journey, even though, you know, we have very vastly different issues. And in general, I feel like the chronic illness community would agree with that like everyone has such different situations, but there's still so much that can be relatable. And I think for that reason, I am ride or die for my girl Violet, and I'm gonna ride for this book
series.
She's
a Violet stan.
I am a Violet apologist, Violet stan. Anyone who's like, she's annoying, I'm like, you're wrong.
But actually.
Okay, but actually sometimes when people are like, I'm just a weak girl, it's like, has a chronic illness. Don't be ableist about it, okay? I really love the representation that this book provides in every regard. And on top of that, not only is it a book with representation for chronic illness, but it's also just a good book.
I'm here for the fantasy. I'm a fantasy girly through and through, so.
Yes. Let's start off with our overall review of the book. So I'll go ahead and go first. I don't know how I feel about the book. I didn't know how I felt about the book because honestly, so I did end up ranking it, I think like a 4 or a 4.25. Because again, it's like, it's going to have a natural bump because it's the Empyrean series for me.
Of course.
I was happy to be in the world and all that sort of stuff, but it just didn't hit the same for me as the other two. I don't really know why. I kind of have a theory that it has to do a little bit with the beginning pacing was a little odd to me. There was a little bit too many of the new characters, new terms, secrets that we weren't being let in on as the readers, that I think just added a little bit too much confusion in the beginning. And then also on top of that, I think really the problem is that this is the middle book in the series. And so we're getting a lot of information about things that I'm sure we're going to come back to again in these later books, and we're just getting the setup for now. Honestly, there's some things that I didn't even realize, like I was listening to Fantasy Fangirl.
Can you explain a little bit about what Fantasy Fangirls is?
Oh yes, they're another podcast. They do deep dives. They really go in depth, doing like a few chapters at a time. And they talk about, say for instance, like Papa Sorrengail's research. And they explain, we don't know everything in here yet. We only are getting kind of a glance of what Violet has seen. And I was like, oh, I thought it was just dumb. So it kind of makes me feel better that it's like, okay, I wasn't meant to understand that fully, but it did make it a little hard to read because the world building just really expanded a lot. And I think because we don't have the full picture, it just felt a little confusing. You know, I think overall it's just going to be that this isn't going to be my favorite book in the series. I'm still really hopeful for the future. I still am like, this is my favorite book series, even though I don't know how it's going to end. And I did still enjoy it. It just didn't feel the same as the other ones.
Yeah. This was my least favorite book in the series. I think I probably ranked it around like a 3.5. Like another book we may or may not have already covered in the podcast, I think we just got a lot more questions than answers.
Right.
In this book. There was a lot going on. I mean, we're searching for the 7th Dragon Den, we're introducing the Isles, we have Papa Sorrengail's research, we're finding a cure for Xaden and all of the Venin, finding a cure, but not really finding a cure, but mostly just talking about finding a cure. There's a lot happening, but like you mentioned, it may have just all been necessary at this point because, you know, this is our middle child of the series.
Yeah.
So There's a lot of burden and responsibility to being a middle child, I think. I don't know where we're going to end up with this because the series is so incomplete, but as of right now, I feel like it was just a lot for me. And I agree that it didn't quite feel the same as when I was reading Fourth Wing and I was so enraptured by the world. It mostly just felt like this was something that we needed to kind of get through to find our way to what I feel as though will be a really good and exciting ending for the series.
Agreed.
I'm still really invested in the series, and I'm still willing to let Carly convince me to read it.
For sure. I will never let anyone forget. Okay, with all of that being said, I think we're ready to talk about our big ticket items for the book.
Yes. Here we go.
So, I personally feel like that the star of the show, as a whole, obviously there was broccoli, but
yes,
other
than broccoli,
as a whole, it really wasn't Darna. This was her book.
This was her book.
I really felt like, God, there was just so much heartbreak across the board with regard to Andarna. I was so hopeful for her with the Irids. I felt confident that we were going to meet the Irids. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it makes sense that it wouldn't have gone perfectly, but I didn't expect them to just be so outright shameful of her and just be such bitches about it.
Yes.
I already was upset by that. I didn't think it was fair, the way that they judged her, because of course, if you were raised in a world of violence, you're going to be comfortable with violence.
Right.
So
that's all she's known.
Right. What else is she supposed to do? And then on top of that, you're judging the humans for fighting. And it's like, if you're being attacked by venom, you're just supposed to let it happen and die? What the fuck are they supposed to do?
Yes.
Again,
we're on the same
if you
page
are such a pacifist, you're just supposed to let danger happen to you and not try to stop it whatsoever.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Well, and then Andarna says that thing to them about how they're so privileged.
Yes. You preach peace while only having known its privilege.
Yes.
And I think that's so perfect. And I know technically they did specify that it's like, we were judging more so the humans that raised you, sort of.
Sure.
But still, it's just like, come on, she's a kid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Can
and
you
she's
be
so
nice?
excited. She's so excited to meet them and tell them her story and find her family. Honestly, though, I will say that I kind of expected it to not go her way. I was almost like, I was able to talk to her, I would have been like, maybe keep your expectations a little bit low. You know what they say, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. I don't blame her for being so excited because I'm sure that she feels kind of alone being the only Irid that she knows of. She wants to understand herself and her den more. So it's like, I understand, but yeah, it's so hard to manage those expectations. It just broke my heart, especially too when she was giving her life story to the Irids, and at one point Taryn says something and she goes, "Don't ruin this for me," and he sadly shuts up or something like that.
Yeah.
The tone of it was just okay. That was the first heartbreak for Andarna.
And then the heartbreaks just keep on coming.
I really did not expect for Andarna and Violet's bond to break. I was reading that at work and I was crying at work.
Oh.
She's not dead, but what now?
But it felt like it, especially to Violet, with that bond breaking.
Yeah, because you can't communicate with her now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, and especially with how abrupt it was. And that's why I'm still kind of curious, because the way that Andarna reacted, it did not feel to me like she broke the bond. It felt like, I almost called him Leo Fanny, but that can't be it. Oh, I have it here, Leothan. Okay. But yeah, it felt like Leothan was the one who did it, because he was just break the bond. And she's kind of looking I don't know, should I do it? And then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I wish that we could have had more conversation, because we're not thinking through the fact that Andarna can't even fly that far to an isle on her own.
I didn't expect there to be an Andarna Violet heartbreak. So as we know, I feel like typically these books bring us a heartbreak every once in a while, you know? And in this third book, I really thought, I was I feel like we're going to get a dragon death. I think it's going to be Violet's next big obstacle emotionally to overcome. And I really thought it was going to be Taryn. I thought that there was something was going to happen and she was going to lose this bond with Taryn, but she wasn't going to die and it was going to be okay because she had Andarna.
Right.
And so that was my theory. That was one of my theories going into this book. And then especially, I guess this happened a little bit earlier in the book, in chapter 10, when they are caught in this tornado wind storm from Theophany going to save Marin's family. They get caught in this windstorm. Violet starts to reach out for the bond because Taryn gets hurt and she can't feel it. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, is it happening? It felt very early.
Yeah, it was only chapter 10.
It felt very early.
It can't be, but also...
But because that was already my theory, I was thinking, oh no, like this is it. Like this is, and then I started like thinking about what the implications would be for Andarna. Like she's got to like, can Violet fly? Because Andarna can't.
She can't bear her.
She can't bear her. And like she can barely fly on her own. So I was like, what does this mean for Violet? Is she going to lose her signet? There were so many questions and implications that obviously I didn't ever really need to worry about. But I really thought it was going to be Taryn. Like this whole heartbreak was going to come from Taryn. So it was extra out of the blue for me that it came from Andarna.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense that we would have expected it to be Taryn. He's supposedly middle-aged, so it's not like, it's not like he's so old that he would die of natural causes or something.
But he is older and has experienced a little bit more, and he even has told Violet, this is it for me. You're it for me.
Yes.
So I feel like that also contributed to this idea that Taryn will die.
Yeah. I 100% thought if there was going to be dragon problems, it was going to be Taryn.
I agree.
So the fact that it was Andarna was really surprising. And then even further, it was really surprising that she already was back by the end of the book. We were pretty far into the book by the time that this happened. And then maybe 100 pages later, she's already back.
It felt very quick.
Yeah, I can't imagine they even got to the ocean. I'm very curious why that happened.
Yeah, very curious. And I think we have this as a later topic because there's a lot of things, like we've said, a lot of things that we have to get through with this book. But with Andarna showing up and then the ending that we have with so many pieces missing to this puzzle, Andarna's a big part of that. Like, why did she come back? What was her role during this time that we're missing, that we don't know what happened?
Yeah. We're happy you're back.
Yes, we're happy you're back, but we're curious.
We're confused. We have questions.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next most highly anticipated thing to come out of this book. Violet's second signet.
Yes.
Because I think we've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
I mean, since...
For the last year or so.
Exactly. Yes. We've all been kind of theorizing and anticipating, okay, what do we think Violet's second signet is? Like, do we think it's this? Do we think it's that? There were a lot of theories going around before this book came out. So much so that I was definitely looking for them as I was reading this book before we obviously find out that her second signet is dreamwalking. I normally am not a look for clues, try to figure out the puzzle kind of girl. Sometimes I am, but sometimes, I'm just there for the vibes. I'm ready for it to unfold naturally. We'll see what happens. But because it was such a big thing with this book, I was definitely looking for them. And I think some of the theories that I have, I don't know, I think we may have had some of the same theories as what her second signet might have been. I had a secondary theory that I was really, honestly, kind of ride or die on in Onyx Storm. I really thought that Violet's second signet was precognition. And I think I thought this because in chapter 9, Violet has this vision of being in like a burning house. And having to save some artifacts, some treasures, and try and save her family from dying in this burning building. And of course, we later find out that it's Marin's dream and that Violet was able to experience this because she's a dreamwalker.
Yeah.
But this hadn't happened yet.
Exactly.
When Violet was experiencing this and dreamwalking. So I think that's why I thought, oh, this is a vision. Because later in chapter 10, they talk about it. And Marin's like, oh my gosh, this is happening, like my family. And then they decide to go try and save her family.
Right.
So it hadn't happened yet. So how is Violet able to see this? Like, I understand that she's just a presence in someone else's dream. So what are the implications of that?
I agree. There is so much confusion for me around, not necessarily in a bad way. I think it's a fun theorizing way of just like,
sure,
what exactly does this mean and where is this going to go? Because I agree between that. I mean, I know technically it's a little different because she was especially worried about a picture burning, and that is a picture that she has. So it's a little bit more like a metaphor version of her family burning. Yeah. And that's what ended up happening, not exactly the picture.
Right.
But I mean, then we still get all of her dreams that she experiences that are actually Xaden's, where they take place in Dreyfus. And
right, so it's not even the first time that happens, or the last time that it happens.
Yeah, so it is very interesting. And granted, okay, so there's another element to this too, because I feel like based on the dreams that she experiences with Xaden and with Berwyn being there and him commenting on her being a dreamwalker, I feel like he is also a dreamwalker. So there's a part of me that's a little bit like, is maybe the reason why I say Xaden's dreams are all in Dreyfus is because Berwyn knows that there's going to be a fight in Dreyfus. Like, the Venom are planning this thing, and they know it's going to be big enough that the writers are going to have to come and try and fight them. And so, especially if we saw that Violet has the ability to influence dreams, maybe at a more trained ability of a dreamwalker, they would be able to completely sort of design the dream that a person experiences. So I think that could be part of it. Granted, that only explains Xaden's dreams. It doesn't explain Marin's.
Yeah.
But technically, because Marin's is a little bit more, like I said, abstract or metaphorical in terms of how it plays out in real life, I'm a little like, okay, I guess maybe that could explain why it feels like precognition, but maybe isn't.
Yeah, I guess that is something that was mentioned, that Violet's second signet, this dream walking signet, is really, it's just developed. So she hasn't even really harnessed its full ability.
Yeah, Rebecca said that what we've seen out of Onyx Storm is about 10% of its potential. So that leaves a lot. On top of that, too, because dreamwalking is a form of intrinsic, I'm curious if this also will still turn into she is able to walk into people's minds as long as their shields are down, because that's part of why it's so easy to dreamwalk, is because people can't shield when they're sleeping.
Sure.
I kind of wonder if that would evolve, especially because at one point my theory for her second signet was being an intrinsic as well as Xaden. And the main reason for it was because of the throne room scene where they're in the throne room and all of a sudden she hears Xaden's thoughts.
The throne room, my chair, my house, my woman?
Yes, that one.
The throne room?
But we all know what we're talking about. Obviously, as far as we knew about Xaden's intrinsic power, was just that he can read intentions. So the fact that Violet would be able to hear his thoughts seems out of place, especially at that moment, because he's not Venom yet. His signet should not be getting that significantly stronger. I still feel like, even though the way that Rebecca kind of talks about it, I feel like that's not what she's pointing towards as far as like explaining what Violet's second signet is. I think it was supposed to have more to do with just the dreams. But I'm still just like, how is that possible for her to have heard his thoughts the way that she did? And I feel like that's a little bit more consistent with dream walking. Like, you're walking to someone's head and thoughts. It's kind of the same thing, just being awake, and instead someone would be thinking to themselves in their head. I am curious if this will be something that she can use even when people are awake. Low key, in the book, they're like, this is a big deal. And I'm like, is it though? Because, like, my dreams mean not, like, what? If someone walked into my dream, what are they going to do? You know? I just can't imagine me having another one of my dreams where I'm naked in public. And it's like, what would Violet do to... What would she do? What information is she going to glean from it?
Well, I mean, you know what they say. Dreams say a lot about a person's subconscious.
Please leave me alone.
So there must be...
I've gone through enough.
There must be something
in public.
Also, I feel like, so because her second signet is so underdeveloped right now, there might be a way, like you were saying, that she might be able to change the dream. So maybe, you know, she'd be willing to help you out and give you some clothes.
That'd be great. Because it's really uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Hearing you talk about the fact that dream walking is a type of intrinsic, I am interested to see how she's going to announce this as her second signet, because everyone knows that she's most likely going to get one because she has two dragons. But we know how everyone feels outside of their sort of inner circle, how everyone feels about those with intrinsic type powers.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how Violet is going to approach that.
Yeah.
With like, hey, my second signet has manifested, but I don't know if I can really tell you what it is because danger.
Right. And okay, another thing that Rebecca has said in interviews is that there's only maybe one person who could even train her on it. And I kind of wonder, again, if she's referring to Berwyn.
Oh, I see.
Which, again, it's like, well, fuck? What is she supposed to do about that?
The question was answered, but there's definitely more that we could dive into.
Right.
This.
And I'm pretty happy with this one. We get the technical information that we want.
Yes.
But there's still a lot of excitement about it, about where that's going to go.
Agreed.
Now that the second signet mystery is solved, we have a new mystery with this book.
As is, yes.
Yes, about who our new brother is.
Our new brother.
Yes. I have a lot of thoughts and also no thoughts about this because it's like...
I have a singular thought, but you go first.
So basically, obviously, I think that all the signs lead to Bodhi, right? There's just so many references of like, he's going to be second in power to Xaden if, you know, anything happens to him. There's little comments that Theophany makes to him about like, do you wish you had more power? I don't know, a lot of things like that. That's the obvious foreshadowing. But here's the thing that really confuses me. And granted, I think it really depends what the interpretation is supposed to be. Because my interpretation was that when Xaden starts talking about this new brother, he is looking at the person and they are in that same area with him and Berwyn and Panchek, Zagael, like all of this commotion that's happening in this little area. The new brother is right there. For that reason, it can't be Bodhi or Garrick, because when Xaden inevitably does the big shadow cloud that goes over everyone, he mentions, like he's kind of listing things that the shadow goes over as it happens. And he mentions seeing Imogen looking up at the sky. And Imogen's chapter ends with that. So that's where those timelines match up. And right before she does that, she's looking at Garrick. They're like talking about how he needs more power and he's coming up to burnout. And she says that she sees Bodhi on the ground retching. So if that is the case, where whoever this new brother is must be near Xaden, then I don't think it could be either of them. But if it's more so that he senses the new brother in the same way that he knows that Venom are around because he can sense them. If it's that, then I think it is Bodhi. Because Bodhi was on the ground. Imogen said that it looked like he was retching. He was on all fours. So that seems consistent with like what it looks like to draw power from the source.
Sure.
That's kind of where my confusion is. Now, the theory that I low-key hope that it is, because I think it'd be a lot more interesting, assuming that this brother has to be near them. It couldn't be Bodhi far away in the distance. Is that it's Auric. Because Auric, as we found out, has precognition. Yes. He's all over the place doing what he's not supposed to be. Like Rhiannon at one point says, once again, Auric is not at his post where he's supposed to be.
Right.
And I've seen some people online talking about how maybe the reason why, I mean, obviously, if he saw that he was supposed to draw from the source, then that might be why he did it. But on top of that, I could see it being he drew from the source because he wanted to put pressure on his dad, the king, to figure out a cure, to care about this war, all that sort of stuff. So, and it could be for a lot of reasons, but
I see.
I think that would be interesting. I think that would be fun. It doesn't line up as much with the, like, they've seen me stumble and fall the last 5 months.
Yeah.
But maybe he doesn't mean that so literally, and they knew that I was Venom this whole time. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, so I also hope that it's Auric because I think it would make for a much more exciting reveal. I understand that a lot of things line up with Bodhi / possibly Garrick, but I do kind of think it's a little bit too obvious. There's not as much mystery, there's not as much tension because we kind of expect that they might be willing to do something like this based off of their history and their closeness to Xaden and their sort of similar moral gray areas to Xaden.
It's just too similar of a character to turn Venom as Xaden.
Yes.
It's not different enough to me.
I agree. And I think that's why I'm hopeful that it's Auric. And I do think that with Auric having this signet of precognition, that maybe he was more willing to turn Venom because it was what was supposed to happen. Because it was something that his signet told him, okay, this is what needs to happen to inform, you know, the rest of what happens in book 4 or book 5 or whatever. Because he is always missing. He is always doing strange things here and there, saying strange things to Violet, giving her strange packages. Like, what is this all about? It would make sense under the lens of him having precognition, like, oh, this is something that needs to happen.
Right. It's kind of like when in Avengers Infinity War, when Doctor Strange gives Thanos the Time Stone, I think, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And like, he's kind of like,
why'd you do that?
the only possible outcome that I saw involved this, so I have to deal with it.
Right, like this is what has to happen. Yes, I agree. I kind of had the same thought of like, if it's Auric, I'm almost a little bit more trusting that this isn't going to go too badly because of his precognition.
Yeah, he saw it.
Yeah, he saw it. It has to happen.
He's got everything on lockdown, okay?
Right, he knows.
I can't wait to find out more about how Auric's signet works and what percentage he's at right now and like how exactly that's going to develop further. I'm really excited and I really hope it's Auric because it's like, what did you see? Do you just see these snippets and are like, okay, I need to make sure that happens? Or like he sees things and it's like, I need to make sure, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yes, I'm very interested in Auric's character, and I definitely was, like, even in the beginning. But now with this signet, it's just so intriguing. What does he know? What doesn't he know? How far does this power stretch? Like, does he know everything, or is it only limited to certain things? Can his visions or however he uses his power change depending on what does end up happening and like people's intentions and things like that? You know, like if somebody makes a different decision than he thought they were going to make, does that change?
Yeah, like is it a That's So Raven type of visions where it's like that's going to happen no matter what you do?
Yes.
Or is it, I don't know what the alternative to that would be. I only really think in terms of That's So Raven.
Yes.
So
yes.
There's just so many possible avenues because it's a little bit like time travel where it's like, what are the rules to this?
It's very interesting. I'm really excited. I'm also really excited to see how the end of the book is also connected to Auric's power. I feel like I'm giving Auric a lot of responsibility here. Auric knew what was going to happen in those hours that were missing. Auric knew about, this and that. And
yeah, because also too, Auric was able to communicate with all of the Isles. Like, there's just so much foreshadowing leading up to the fact that he is going to be the king that not what the leadership had planned, but is what we need. And I'm excited for him.
I am too.
He deserves it.
I am too.
Baby boy.
So we've got a lot of new material in this book, including what seems to be a whole new world almost with all of these Isles that we're getting.
Yes, finally.
Yes. So, Carly, of the Isles that we visited, which one's your favorite?
Oh, easy. Personally, for me, my favorite was Hedotus, Hedion, all that sort of stuff. I just personally loved the tension that we got out of that scene. Because first we meet Xaden's mom.
Talia, yes.
So that was exciting. I still have a lot of questions about her and her
100%,
situation.
yeah.
And it's just so interesting, too, the fact that the second that we meet her, she acts so shocked that Xaden's there. And it's crazy now looking back, for instance, the chocolate cake reveal, and it's like, she's known the whole time.
That she knew he was coming the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I'm also still a little confused as to how.
Yeah, because, again, they don't have a port.
Yeah.
How'd they find out?
Maybe gossip travels fast. News travels fast among
They
the
have no
Isles.
magic, but they do have gossip.
They do have gossip.
I'm sure that to some degree the way that she reacted is a little true to how she felt. It's just that she technically did see it coming. But then on top of that, meeting the triumvirate and the insane mind games that they played on the group. And this is why I'm like, I would 100% die by chocolate cake. How am I supposed to know that I shouldn't? I mean, okay, so in a way, it was like when they didn't get their silverware, yeah, I would wait until they get their silverware.
Yes.
But also, when you got a good cake in front of me, well, I don't want to wait.
I did suspect that something was happening with the chocolate cake because one of the other members had said something about Talia hoarding all of this chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
From the moment she said that, I was like, there's something wrong with the chocolate. Like, I just knew that there was something wrong. And then I also knew, I didn't know who it was going to be or exactly how it was going to play out. But in my mind, I thought, someone's going to eat it.
Yeah. I'm genuinely surprised, too, that no one ended up dying by the end of this. True. I was like, shit, Garrick's gone. Okay. Like, that's not great, but I can kind of make peace with it. Thank God.
No, I would have been so disappointed.
I mean, yeah. Especially the way Xaden was reacting too.
Yes.
But then when a knife is thrown at Riddick,
Riddick?
The whole book, I had written so early on in our story graph, buddy read, that I was like, Riddick's dying. He is showing up.
Theory of yours.
Yes, I was like, he is showing up way too much. He is just way too involved. I think he's gonna die because we're just learning too much about him.
Sure.
And then when that happened, I was like, this is it. This is it. He's dying.
Yeah.
And then immediately, it's like, oh, just kidding. It just got caught in his jacket. He didn't get stabbed.
He's fine.
He's fine.
They really tricked us out.
Yeah. And I also, because I know technically in most of these Isles, there's a bit of a theme of Violet really stepping up in a leadership way, showing her wits and stuff like that. But this was my favorite example of it with the Aaron myth and the way that she had an idea that something bad was going to happen and she planned to like have an edge on them with the Aaron myth. And it's also fucking insane that this man is like, you don't get to beat me. He's literally willing to die.
Yes.
And willing to let his wife die.
Yeah.
And his co-workers die because I'm too proud to let you win.
Yes.
Absolutely insane. And this is where I also thought, like, geez, Talia, if only you didn't care so much about having a wise marriage, you could have not married a psychopath.
Sure.
This was just, like, insane because she's, like, freaking out in the corner, like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And he tried to kill my son. I was kind of picturing the, like, bridesmaid bathroom scene. Or, like, Bridesmaids, the movie.
The movie.
Yeah. Everyone's panicking. Everyone needs to go to the bathroom. Obviously, this was a little different, but, like, you know, you got Xaden over here trying to keep Garrick's breath alive. Riddick and Violet are trying to figure out what was in the cake. And then Violet's telling Dane, like, go get my book. Go get this. Traeger, help out. Blah, blah, blah. Like, It was just insanity. And I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It didn't ultimately matter in the end.
Yes.
But...
yeah.
It was my favorite part of the book.
It was a fun chapter for sure. This was probably the most intense island scene for me. Second most intense, actually. But still very intense. And it felt kind of like the end of a Clue style whodunit with Violet accusing Colonel Mustard of killing someone in the dining room with a candlestick. You know, it was very like when she was telling
Ferris? Yeah, I think it's Ferris.
Yes, when she's telling him, you know, I know about all of this, I'll figure it out, and this airment, like, I also have the upper hand on you. Like, it felt very, like you were saying, like, it was nice to see Violet step up into this kind of leadership role and use not only her physical strength that we've kind of seen her grow into despite her chronic illness and her inability to keep up the same way that the other riders can keep up. But we're really able to see her use her strongest asset, her brain.
Right. She has the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer.
Exactly.
The perfect combo.
Yes. So it was really nice to be able to see that. I will say that I didn't think Riddick was going to die. I figured that they would solve it somehow. It just kind of felt kind of goofy.
Really? Because I was like, he got stabbed. Like, Garrick, there's, like, hope that, like, we'll figure it out.
You're right. No, I'm sorry. I meant Garrick.
Okay.
I meant Garrick, yes. Garrick, I didn't think was really going to die because it felt goofy. Like, the way that he was like, oh, I'm just going to eat this chocolate cake. This cake is so good. And then, like, passes out, you know? It felt like, okay, they're going to figure this out. Like, it'll be fine. I did actually think Riddick was going to die. Like, for real.
Yeah.
And I don't even know exactly how I was feeling about it. It caught me off guard. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't have any theories of Riddick dying. My big death theory, like I mentioned earlier, was about Taryn. So I didn't really have other death theories going on in my mind. So that was a big shock to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it was fine. Like,
I know. I could not believe the degree to which he was perfectly fine.
But in a very, like, Riddick style fine. Like, oh, my jacket, you know? Like,
and I hate sewing!
Yeah, like, this is my favorite jacket. It felt very, like, of course.
Beautiful.
Of course this would happen to Riddick. We've got Talia and not only meeting her, but also her betrayal of being behind this proposed marriage and her betrayal of knowing that Xaden was coming, her betrayal of holding all this chocolate, you know. And I do feel bad for her in a sense to where she didn't know how far it was going to go.
Yeah, she clearly didn't know that they were going to get poisoned.
Yes, but in some ways, Talia, you're also supposed to be wise. Like, we should have had some sort of backup plan. We should have...
Yeah. Obviously, Talia was the one that was chosen to marry Fen. So it's very interesting exactly what kind of status Talia has, what her family line is like.
What alliance this was supposed to breed.
Yeah, not to mention the whole point of their marriage was, I assume, an alliance.
Yes.
That is their perspective, how marriages work. And it's like, okay, but then they didn't help with the rebellion. They're not willing to do anything now regarding the Venin.
Right. What sort of alliance was...
What was the point?
Supposed to happen here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do we want to move on to what your favorite aisle was?
Okay, so my favorite aisle was Umbriel. I think that's how you say that. Dunes, yeah.
Also, rude that all of them have like similar named isles too.
Except for this one.
Yeah, I kept getting confused because I'm like, Unreal. Okay, so the god is.
And I was like, which
something?
yes, which one is this one about?
Yeah,
But
something completely different.
Yes, yes. So Unreal and everything that we sort of find out about Violet and her possible almost dedication as a child and other people that have her possible almost look-alike hair.
Yes.
You know, and her possible almost being able to wield lightning on the Isles where there's supposed to be no magic. There's a lot we find out about Violet, I think, specifically on this island.
Yes.
And I think that's why I'm very invested in this. And I think this specifically was my most tense island scene when they are fighting in the arena. Mm-hmm. And it's Violet, Xaden, and Dane fighting against the 3 members of whatever their court is on the island. Mm-hmm. And I found this battle specifically to be the most tense moment on the Isles for me because coming from Violet's perspective, I think it was really tense because she doesn't really know what's happening with Xaden, with Dane, with other people watching because she has to be so focused on what's going on with her and her battle with the woman that ends up being the queen of the island, which is also a lot like, whoa. That was very interesting for me, and I could really feel that emotion of her seeing Dane pass out in the corner, being worried about what's going on with Xaden over here when she hears him scream out or whatever. You know?
Because I think that you would assume, especially I think Violet assumed, like, I'm the one that I need to worry about.
Yes.
I'm going to assume I can trust them to handle themselves.
Yes.
And then you look over and Dane's already out.
Right, exactly.
And then Xaden's, like, kind of losing his. Oh, this is a problem.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, that was very tense for me and as I'm sure for Violet. And then we get that moment where Violet possibly wields lightning.
Yes. I think that part is so interesting because I kind of assumed because we learned that Andarna is magic and there's so much about she's the only one who's able to communicate with Andarna and Terran. And so I think it makes sense that there's a possible theory that it has to do with Andarna and maybe a magic source there. But I do think it is interesting that it happens to happen on the island that she got dedicated at. Mm-hmm. So I do think there is a potential connection there as well. I don't know. It's a thing of like, I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it. But I think there's something to that it happened on this island.
Yes. I also, my theory post finding everything out about Andarna, that it was because Andarna was there and because Violet is bonded to Andarna and Andarna has her own magic that Violet was able to wield. But I do like what you're saying with the fact that it happens on the island that's dedicated to the god that Violet was supposed to be dedicated to as a child, which I also have questions about, you know, finding that out and from Violet's perspective, seeing people with her similar hairstyle, wondering how this is possible. And then finding out from Mira, who found out from their grandmother that Violet was supposed to be dedicated as a child, but it didn't end up working.
Yeah. So I think maybe part of why I was maybe a little more down on this isle was because I still can't really wrap my head around what exactly it means to be dedicated. Sure. It's like, what exactly does that do for someone? I kind of understand because I think Rebecca's answered in interviews like it means that you're dedicated to that god and you serve that god, and it's like, okay, but like what would it change for Violet, especially specifically Dune? The understanding that we have is that they took her there to dedicate her with the assumption that they were maybe going to try and fix her with her chronic illness. What exactly would happen once she's dedicated? Would she just magically be better? Especially if there is no magic on the Isles.
To be honest, I took it as more of the way in real time people dedicate themselves to their religions.
Oh.
The way we have...
More like a personal thing? Like,
yes, the way we have,
so magically binded.
Sort of like Catholic priests / Buddhist monks / you know, these people that dedicate...
It's just like getting baptized? Is that what you're telling me?
I think it is. I think, but more serious. Like, I think it's specifically like the way a priest dedicates his life to the church, or the way a Buddhist monk dedicates his life to the practice.
Yeah. Which again, further is like, okay, why would they do that? She's a child.
Sure.
And also, again, why would you do that? Why do you care? I know that Violet said at some point that her mom wasn't temple-minded. I just am a little confused as to how they decided on dedicating her where this all came from. Like, obviously, to some degree, you could say that, well, she probably became not temple-minded because of this experience, because I actually do recall an epigraph where she says something about how she's mad at Asher for wanting to do this. That could be part of it, but still, I just have so many questions about it. I cannot wait, because I think that this is for sure going to become something that we're going to meet Grandma Niara. And I assume she will give us
questions
the answer.
about her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a good chapter for me personally. Very intense. There was a lot of action going on, but also a lot of information.
Yeah, I was really analyzing some of the things that the High Priestess says, because it was very cryptic, obviously, the first time around. So the second time I got through it, I wanted to really pay attention and see what I felt about what she was saying.
Oh, okay.
And so at one point she says, "Did you choose the path yourself?" Then, Violet's kind of thinking, well, technically my mom chose it. And then she's like, no, I chose it. But then the priestess looks at Taryn and then at Xaden. Now that we know that the full reason that she didn't get dedicated was because of Xaden turning Venin, I wonder if there's a bit of a hint here because of the looking at Taryn and Xaden. If maybe, because she said also that her path is still yet to be chosen, even though she has chosen Xaden. And I wonder if there's actually going to become a specific point where basically it's going to boil down to she's going to have to choose between Taryn and Xaden. Because why did she look at both of them?
I see.
Those are her highest loves, not including Adarna in this, because similar but like different.
Sure.
I think that'll be really interesting, and I think that if it does come down to that, I think she's going to choose Taryn.
I think so too. I also think, because I don't think we've gotten to really talk about this yet, but when Violet is sort of confronted with this choice of how far she's willing to go for Xaden as a Venin, she has to draw a line somewhere.
Yes.
She has to figure out, okay, when is it too much?
Right.
And so I think that theory might come into play, your theory of her choosing Taryn over Xaden, when it gets to that point.
Xaden kind of puts Taryn, threatens him in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether directly or indirectly.
Yeah. It's a bit of a long shot. It's very based on not a whole lot, but
possible.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm feeling there.
This was a good aisle for me. I really enjoyed everything that happened here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it yields in future books. Of all the aisles, I think this next one, Zenala?
Zahelna? Zahol?
The Luck Island.
Laheim? Zelna is easier to say, and this is why I'm like, just name it the same as the god. This variation is just a little too weird for me. Zelna's island.
Zelna. This island.
How do we feel?
I
kind of enjoyed it in the moment, because
but then I quickly didn't.
Yeah. Then it got insane. Because at first when they were giving out the gifts, it's kind of just like, okay. You don't really realize that the stakes could go so backwards. The second worst thing that happened is that Dane got slapped
in the face.
Incredible. Yeah. But I didn't think it was possible that we would kill someone.
Yes.
And then we'd have to smile through it and say thank you.
That was, yeah. And I know we've brought this up a couple of times in the previous 2 islands that we've been talking about. But Violet having to take that leadership role again here in, I think, one of the hardest ways that she's had to on the island. I mean, of course, previously it's been difficult for her to step into that leadership role and make decisions and use that big brain of hers.
Right.
That has been difficult for her, but I think it's in this moment that it's the most difficult, that we see where anybody in a position of power, anybody in a position of leadership, really, it's the good and the bad.
Yeah.
It's the power and all of the burden that you have to carry, the responsibility that you have to carry as a leader, for her to kind of have to smile through it and say thank you for the sake of the mission.
It really is, because every other situation that she's been put in, there has been a degree of worst case scenario, her brain can get her out of it. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing she can do about this.
Yes.
Other than just bear through it.
Yeah.
And Xaden, Mira, I can't remember who exactly, I think it was mostly Xaden, reminded her that this is kind of part of it. It's just, it's a war. People are gonna die.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you weren't doing your best and that you're a bad leader. It doesn't reflect on you.
And those are also the moments where I think Xaden is his best as a partner. in these moments where he doesn't coddle her and he tells her this is how it is.
Yeah.
From his experience and his expertise and his way of supporting her and telling her that she can get through this.
Yeah. I feel like all of these gifts are going to represent something.
I think so too. I think they have to. Right?
I don't have any ideas though.
I don't either. I mean, the oranges, what is that supposed to be?
Yeah. The only one that I think there's potential that we could talk about is the compass, because like a compass points to something.
Sure.
So maybe it's going to point her toward what she needs in that moment or something like that. Like kind of room of requirement a little bit.
Yeah.
But everything else is so abstract.
I mean, what is it? Bottle of wine.
Some
oranges. Cat gets like a necklace.
Orange tunics.
Or I'm sorry, orange tunics.
Yeah.
I thought they were just oranges. Orange tunic.
A rusted steel bucket. A fractured hand mirror. Fractured hand mirror is also kind of interesting. Again, reminds me a little bit of Harry Potter and like the mirror that Sirius gives to Harry that like they're supposed to communicate through. Or maybe it was Dumbledore. It was one of the two. And that one gets to Auric.
That's interesting too. I think it is also interesting to see who gets what, because Auric getting this fractured hand mirror, if we're really looking to dive deeper into what that means, is that something to do with his royal lineage?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say his precognition.
Or even his precognition. Like, is there some sort of break that's going to happen with either of those two things?
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that maybe these would turn out to be magical objects because, I mean, they did sense a little bit of magic when they got to Denal's Island. But then when you think about how Dane got a bitch slap, Riddick got a kiss, it's like... they can't do anything with that.
Right.
So
right.
Maybe these are all just going to be kind of metaphorical and not be useful.
Yes, I think in some way it has to mean something.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see.
Yes.
Like by the end of this series, I assume we're going to be able to like go back and figure out what all of it meant.
Agreed. It's got to be something. I feel like it's too random, too specific, too like there's too much there for it to have been a throwaway. So we'll see.
It really feels
she
like
comes back to it.
When it comes to sort of more individual lines, Rebecca, I feel like is not wasteful. I think everything always has a meaning. When it comes to like these one-liners, I feel like those always end up coming back to mean something.
Yeah. Now that we've talked about our favorite islands, and of course our most heartbreaking island, what island was your least favorite?
Well, unfortunately, it was Deverelli. I don't know if it suffers from being the first one, and so it's just kind of forgettable as a result of that, because technically it's like, I mean, a woman died and got her head chopped off and was presented on a platter. It's like, what more do you want, people?
Right.
But also, I don't know, I was just kind of like, meh.
I kind of agree. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of, and I don't really know why, because obviously, like you were saying, like important things did happen. We get the bookstore scene.
Yes, that part was fun, actually. Yes. I did enjoy that. That
was important. We get, you know, the whole scene with Cortland and his court, his people, the woman with her head on a platter, the Panthers, like all of that.
Xaden pulls from a source.
All of that is important as well in some way, but overall it felt like we didn't really get anything from Deverelli. They landed there almost as just a hub point. Almost as if they knew the Irids weren't going to be there. They were just landing there because they needed to land there for whatever reason. And so I also felt like it was my least favorite island because it felt like a throwaway island.
Yeah, I do feel like Unreal is going to be like most relevant to the future and we're most likely to come back to, but I do think second behind it is probably Cortland's Isle.
I'm sure there's going to be something.
I don't know. He just seems like such a character that I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see you again.
Yes.
I really love the bookstore scene. It was hilarious when the woman's like, you are exactly how he described you, Daenatos. And then it's like, oh, awkward.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
That was good. And it was obviously important as well because we got Papa Sorrengail's books.
Yes.
So
very exciting part.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of important things that happened here, but I don't know. Yeah, least favorite. I just didn't vibe with it.
Not necessarily its fault. Maybe it's just because it's the first one, but it's what it is. Someone had, you know, if we're going to rank them, someone had to be on the bottom. So speaking of the bookstore scene, I feel like another like big sort of question that we had leading up to this book was, are we going to find out about this research? Because we got little hints here and there, like from Colonel Atos, Varish, people talking about this research that has to do with Feathertails. I was really excited that we were going to get at this book. However, I was a little bit disappointed in the sense that I feel like it just goes all over my head. I don't understand any of it.
Sure.
I really tried to understand piece by piece the stuff about the Crowland uprising.
Sure.
Just a little like, okay, like the big thing I understand is they tried to deal in dragons, which is like a big no-no. We don't do that. And then I think also the thing that really confused me was the Midnight Massacre. Do you remember them talking about that?
I do remember that.
I just don't really understand the exact timeline of events. I think I just need to wait until we get the full information on it and they really like spell it out for me.
From what I remember, the Midnight Massacre, it was the Crowland people, right?
That got massacred or massacred?
That got massacred, right?
I think that's right. I think.
Because they had promised Deverelli.
Yes, they promised dragons.
But then I don't remember quite how Deverelli found out that this promise was no, that it wasn't going to happen. And then they sent someone to massacre.
And I feel like, was it confirmed that it was Deverelli? Because Deverelli was the broker. Because it was Krovla, Deverelli was the broker, and then there was a third party that was actually supposed to get the dragon.
Yes.
And we don't even know, I don't think, which Isle it was.
Sure, okay.
So I guess those Isle people were the ones who killed the Crowland people?
There's a lot of history there, and I think it's hard to keep up with because it's not given to us kind of all at once, the way like it would be in a textbook.
Right.
So we kind of have to piece everything together ourselves. I'm also curious as to, they refer to the second Crowland uprising. Was this the first or the second?
That's a good point. There's a lot of interesting information too about the Feathertails that makes a little bit more sense now. Now that we know that the Feathertails are pacifists and
Yes. Pacifism.
Pacifism. I assume that we can assume that Feathertails refers to Irids. They have Feathertails.
Like they're all in one.
Yes.
Like mutually
to call
inclusive.
them Irids. Yeah. It's kind of just not all over the place necessarily, but this was kind of another thing where I think it did impact my enjoyment because I kind of felt like I just didn't understand it. And then again, it wasn't until I found out later that it's like, oh, we don't have the full information.
Yes, there's still a lot that we don't know about this. We do, I think, need a separate, if we were deep dive girlies, we would do it, but someone else can do it. A separate episode of just the research. I think the way like it would be given to us in like a textbook or a class.
Yeah.
And I think it would be easier to understand in that way to where we didn't have to remember all the separate pieces and put it together ourselves.
Yes, and I will say Fantasy Fangirls does have a segment where they explained it, and I did listen to it, and I'm still not sure.
Oh.
But I'm not blaming them for that. That's just a me thing. I do find it really interesting, though, that with this, I just feel like Asher for sure was assassinated. In my opinion.
Sure. With like all the knowledge that he had?
Yes, it seemed like they really, because everyone was on his back about this research. He had to be super secretive about it.
I mean, everybody's been asking Violet about it, so clearly there was a reputation.
Yes, and I think they really think that like maybe we can take advantage of this little relationship that they have, and maybe Violet would be a little naive and not realize how significant and important it is. So I'm excited to know a little bit more about why exactly they care so much about that.
Yeah.
And there's so much rhetoric and like the epigraphs and stuff about Asher and Lilith being distrustful of everyone else. So for the reason why I think that he must have been assassinated. So when everyone had theories about marked ones having two signets, I low-key was like, I don't think so. Like,
Oh, I was on that train.
I kind of thought that maybe it was just an error that Liam also wielded ice. I don't know. I mean, I guess though we did have Zayden with his second signet.
Yes.
I just thought that was a fluke. I didn't realize
Because
that all of the dragons.
his grandfather.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny that no, it is. They do all.
Yeah.
And then I had a moment where I was confused. I thought it was something specific about like their relic was the reason that they had it. Really think about it. It's like, oh no, it's all the Zayden situation of all the dragons are like direct lineage.
Is it
for those
not their
raiders.
relics?
No. So basically they were like, okay, those are the ones that we can trust because they are the rebellion's kids and they know about the Venin and they tried to fight the Venin and we are on that same side. And whatever his name over there has a direct lineage for Garrick. So you need to bond Garrick because then he'll get two signets and it'll make him more powerful in fighting Venin. That's, I think,
interesting.
that was their logic.
I thought it was because of the second relic that's how they manifested two signets. I didn't really think it had anything to do with the direct lineage. I thought for Zayden that was a fluke.
Right.
Because in previous books, Taryn has said that the Empyrean hasn't chosen a side.
I think maybe he meant that as a whole. it's divided, I think.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I guess that's possible. I guess that's why I didn't think about that.
I did kind of reread it, and it is a little vague. That is what I came up with, and I think that's what most people have interpreted it as. But it isn't the most clear. The relics kind of make sense. Like, they have an extra relic. Why wouldn't they? You get a relic from having a dragon.
Right.
So, bada bing, bada boom. It makes sense. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and outline people that have 2 signets and what they are, and also who doesn't have a signet.
Sure.
So, okay, in short, everyone but Sloane, as far as we know, and Bodhi, have 2 signets.
I think we kind of know that Bodhi maybe has one, but he hasn't said it yet.
I know, I keep going back and forth on that.
I think because Violet has asked him about it and he said nothing, almost like a nothing wink, you know?
But he also was like, just like Xaden. But then...
Yes.
But only Violet knows that Xaden has a second signet.
But couldn't Bodhi also know?
Unless he has a signet that would know that. But otherwise, he wouldn't know.
Because Xaden has said that he's never told anyone?
Yeah, Xaden never told anyone until Violet.
Oh. You're right. I forgot that Xaden... I think I just assumed that Bodhi knew because they're close.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
So I thought, Bodhi knows.
So it's kind of like a circular problem of like, he says, no, I don't, just like Xaden, but then Xaden does have one, but he shouldn't know that Xaden has one.
But does he know that Xaden has... Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, hard to say. But, so Garrick's 2 signets are wind wielding and distance wielding. Mm-hmm. Imogen is mind wiping, or whatever you would call that, and earth wielding.
With this specifically, I felt like Imogen's second signet was a little bit of a letdown. I thought that their second signets would be, the signets that they're hiding would be more powerful or more, and mind wiping to me felt a little bit more like intriguing, more powerful, more coveted. So I thought, why would she choose mind wiping to tell everybody versus earth wielding?
Well, it's interesting because I would agree like that because, we have so many elemental ones. It makes sense. But actually on my reread, at one point, it was such a random moment. Again, it was kind of a throwaway line. Sawyer says something about like, we've never seen an earth wielder. It's not like that's a thing. So apparently the signet is so rare that they didn't even know it was an option.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think, maybe I just thought because we have, like you said, so many elemental.
Yeah, Imogen just got real lucky and got 2 really good ones.
I guess, yeah. Good for her.
Yeah, love that for her. Then we have, obviously, Xaden is a shadow wielder and an intrinsic. Liam was Farsight and an ice wielder.
I also felt that way about Liam, the same way I felt about Imogen, that I thought he should be hiding the Farsight.
Yeah, honestly, but though the Farsight one kind of confuses me because then when they do the thing where like the dragons can see really far away too, it's like, well then why does
Liam need to see really far? Yeah.
Yeah, like how far is it compared to a dragon?
Sure.
I have questions.
Personally, though, I think I would get a lot of use out of.
Well, yeah, your eyes are busted.
I do have some pretty busted eyes.
Yeah, I can't wait to one day see your glasses and how thick they are. Her vision's bad.
Carly, no.
Stop it. Stop. And then last is Sloane. As far as we know right now, she only has siphoning. But it kind of intrigues me because obviously Liam and Sloane are related. And it's like, what if there was only one dragon in their lineage and that was whatever Liam's dragon was? So
and that maybe Sloane only has one?
Yeah, maybe she won't get one because there was only one dragon that could have been chosen. And unfortunately, he's dead now.
Right.
It's just kind of an interesting thing, but as of right now, it's like that's all the information we know.
We'll see.
Our last big ticket item, logically, we decided to save the ending,
of course,
as our last topic. Sam, how did you feel about, the ending, but really specifically that last chapter and where it left us?
I think my reaction was very, oh my gosh, like this, so much is happening here. Why can't Violet remember? Why am I so confused? Like really getting everything from Violet's perspective as the reader, as if we're experiencing things at the same time that she is, which, I guess we are. And then the very end, when we find out what's happened to Violet, where she kind of connects the dots and figures out her memories have been wiped, and knowing that Imogen has the ability to do this, and Imogen admitting that she did it because Violet asked her to.
Yeah.
The page turned for me to a blank page.
You're like, what? And then nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
That was it.
I mean, what a cliffhanger. Honestly, I felt like obviously the first 2 books in the series also ended in a similar cliffhanger style ending. But even with the first book ending with this Brennan reveal, we know that moving forward, we're going to get more of Brennan. Like, yes, it's a cliffhanger, but we know where we're moving towards. And again, with the second book in Iron Flame ending with Xaden being Venin, we again know where we're heading towards. We know that now we're going to have to tackle this issue of Xaden being a Venin. But here, our ending in Onyx Storm with the third book, we don't know where to move forward from here. We have some bits and pieces of what we know Violet is missing, but we don't know how she's going to tackle that because Imogen has wiped these memories.
We literally don't know.
We literally don't know. We don't know where the next book is going to go because we don't have that direct line into this is the new problem.
Yeah, because also on top of that, it's kind of like we have 8 new problems because we get pieces that like some people are missing, some of the elder dragons were killed, eggs are missing, Taryn needs rest, and Darna's like, I won't let them burn you. Who?
Xaden's missing and they're all looking for him very angrily.
Yes, like he really...
Like he was in charge of
Which, to be fair, with all these other things, it's like if he's responsible for killing dragons and taking eggs, it's like, oh my god, this sounds really bad.
Yes.
Understandable. But it's just like, oh my god, why would we need to do all this?
Yes. And that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see, so obviously we're Violet in this case scenario. We don't know what we're missing. We just have everything that everyone is telling us has happened. And we know that Imogen has wiped our memories. I'm really curious to see if Imogen knows what has happened.
Right, because there's kind of a twofold thing. It's like, how involved was, say, Imogen involved in all the plans as a whole? And then on top of that, we don't exactly know how her mind wiping works. I would assume that if she mind wiped someone, that she would see the memories that she's wiping.
That she would have to know what the memories are to know what to wipe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
surely. I think, and I feel like a lot of people have said this too online, that naturally the kind of person that makes the most sense to go to solve this problem is Dane. Well, granted, okay, I guess it kind of depends because Imogen wiped the memories, but if they're like, say, there, but she kind of puts a blanket over them and like hides them, then maybe Dane can
recover them. Yes. So I guess it does depend on how Imogen's signet works. Like, does she completely remove the memories, or is it possible to recover them for the person that she wiped them for?
Right.
I think Xaden must have had something to do with these people that are missing, these dragons that are dead, these eggs that are missing, and everything that has happened that has been very intense. Xaden must have some sort of play in that, or at the very least, he knew that everyone would think that he had some sort of play in that. And so did Violet, and hence that's why Violet had Imogen wipe her memory so that she couldn't be complicit in implicating Xaden.
Yeah. Although it's interesting because if he didn't do anything, you would think that her memories would serve as helpful information.
So maybe he did do something.
So maybe he did do something. Yeah, it makes me wonder if they have like solid proof that Xaden did all these things that they're upset about.
Do they know about Xaden's condition?
I feel like they probably do now.
I feel like at this point, right?
I think that he's an ASUM now. Granted, I'm not...
I think so too. I think he's pretty far gone. Like, not far gone.
I think it's probably gone. Like, oh, you can look at him and tell that he's a Venin now.
Yes,
like,
no, I agree. He's got him, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably unavoidable. Because, I mean, that shadow cloud was big. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. And then on top of that, too, we find out that they get married.
Yes, this last little... I'm married?
Yeah. It's really funny because Rebecca, I know, has said in an interview that she interpreted the ending as hopeful. And I'm like...
Was she referring to the marriage?
I think she was. Because, I mean, nothing else about the ending is hopeful. Except for maybe Andarna being back.
Sure.
But I guess you could take it as interpretation of this is proof that Xaden is continuing to do whatever he can to get back to himself and get back to Violet. And this is a promise of that. But, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is me being as naive as Violet. I didn't question that.
Yeah.
It's just a ring on your finger.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that truly matters is that now she is Duchess of Tyrrendor.
Right,
so,
of course.
Obviously, that's a huge change.
Yes.
But in terms of, say, like, their love and their connection, doesn't feel like it's a whole lot different. Solidifying something that we already knew.
Right. At the very least, I think it might be hopeful in the sense that Xaden will come back.
Yeah.
That we can hope that they will return to being a partnership.
Yeah. And, oh my god, I forgot that she said that she couldn't feel her bond with him at all.
Oh, yeah, I also forgot that.
Sigil's for sure still alive, but it's like, I assume that Sigil and Xaden's bond was still intact. I forgot that was a reason why people were like, maybe Taryn has to rest because Taryn and Sigil broke their
mating bond?
Yes, their mating bond.
Why do we think that Taryn and Sigil would have had to do that? Slash would have said yes to doing that.
Maybe it's a part of the plan thing that they had to.
It's possible, but it feels like it would have to have been like a sure thing, like this needs to happen, because Taryn and Sigil, they're not, well, they're dragons. Also, it feels like they've been together for a while, so it's a very like comfortable, almost like relationship if I'm like comparing it to humans, like people in real time. But it feels as though they value that bond so strongly that they wouldn't have broken it if it didn't have to happen.
I just realized it might be because they're not able to be apart from each other because of their bond. And so maybe whatever it is that Xaden is and has to do requires them to be apart too long, that they were like, we need to break this for our safety.
Maybe. I am also curious if Auric knows anything about all of this. I'm bringing
He's the
it
one
back.
that was like, you have to go do this. You have to go do that.
I'm bringing it back because precognition.
It feels like a big catch-all.
It does. It does. And like, I would hate it if that were the case, but I'm curious as to how much he does know.
Honestly, that would be really interesting if that is an avenue where Violet can find out more information. Like, maybe Auric didn't have any involvement in the plan, but he's like, I did see.
Like, I did know. Yeah.
I saw, and it seems like it happened because XYZ.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a really fun way to open up book 4. Because
I think so too.
I think it's going to be like a little bit of a whodunit.
I think so too. Yes, it'll be really exciting.
Yeah, and we love a good mystery.
We do.
All right. Well, those were all of our big ticket items. We do have some little things to talk about.
As we do.
Yes. The first one that I have written down, Halden as a character.
Halden.
I saw the theories that people were like, Violet dated Aric's brother. And I was like,
yes.
Where are we getting this from? And I can't believe that this one was right.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I can't believe she did it.
Now that we know who he is and the kind of character that he has.
Yes. It's like, what did you see in this man?
Listen, Carly, we all have that toxic ex-boyfriend. Okay, we all have that I can fix him moment. Let's be real.
We all know you have that I can fix him moment.
Ladies, let's be real.
Please see the Hear Me Out episode. I was really like, but what did they have in common? Was it a little, I think probably what it was, just a little bit of like, well, he's pretty and he likes me.
Yes. No, exactly. And I think that's really what I'm trying to say, is that obviously she was younger and this may have been her first love or first.
It was definitely an early one. I don't remember.
At the very least it was very early, you know? So she was young, and it was probably one of those things where he is charming, he's handsome, and he's royalty.
He is royalty.
So it was probably a combination of all of those things that made her so captivated by him. And the fact that he showed her interest certainly didn't hurt.
Yeah. It really, though, was just peak comedy every time that, like, Xaden punches him into a wall.
Of course.
When he has to be in the basket. And he's like a little basket bitch. It kind of killed me when, at the end of the Deverelli fight, and this is like, I think, after Violet covers for everyone and makes things okay with Cortland. Mm-hmm. And he goes, way to fuck up negotiations, Ryerson. And it was like, bruh.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, the entitlement.
You thought Ryerson was the issue.
I choose Auric.
Yes. We also need to talk about Professor Grady and Aura Vinehaven. Good riddance. Okay, here's the thing about Grady. Or it's like, She was horrible from the get-go.
Yes.
Very happy that she got herself written off, because I was just like, well, what are we going to do about this? But Grady, I was just a little surprised the degree to which he was incompetent. Because in Iron Flame, I got the vibe that he was negligent, but still smart. The fact that at some point Mira's like, if I didn't know better, I'd say you're sabotaging all of us. And at one point I was kind of suspicious, like, is Grady sabotaging? But then I think someone pointed out that Xaden would probably know because of intentions.
Sure.
I guess maybe they just put Grady in the lead knowing that he probably was gonna mess. Like, I think more likely if it was meant to be sabotaged, it was like they just put Grady in a position that they knew that he would perform poorly in.
Yeah. I am happier about Aura's role in all of this, because Aura was a bitch.
Yeah. Oh my God, that reminds me actually that at one point she said something about, but what about war games? And it's like, what do you mean, what about war games? There's a war.
Right. That doesn't really matter right now,
Yeah,
Aura.
I think we're focused on getting us trained up as much as possible.
Right.
Don't really have time for games.
Right.
Her priorities were always so in the wrong place that it was just like, who put you in leadership?
Well, and also the fact that she always thought that they were in the right place. Even with, like, what we were talking about with Professor Grady and everything that happened with his death scene, Aura and Aura's death scene, even in that moment, she refused to listen. She refused to take other people's thoughts into consideration. I mean, just all around, not a good leader. But I can't say, now that I'm talking about it, I can't say that I'm surprised that she would be put into leadership, because obviously leadership wants a follower. Like, they want a follower to be a leader.
Yes,
you know?
in terms of this current leadership, she is clearly of the same vein.
Exactly.
So
thinking about how she found herself in a leadership role, it kind of makes sense.
yeah, when you
But
put it
she
that
is
way.
not very good at thinking. She's not very good at critically, you know? She's not very good at putting pieces together. She's not very good at listening. She's not very good at delegating. Like, overall, really, the traits that you would want in a good leader, regardless of what alignment you have, what side you're on, she doesn't exhibit any of those traits. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Dane, I think, too, in this book.
Yes, lots to talk about. Dane and specifically Sloane as well.
I'm here for it.
Yes. Honestly, I'm still a little like, I don't know if I see.
Dane eyes here, Atos, here for it. Here for it.
Yeah. I don't know if I see exactly what's between them, but I mean, I see what's between them. I don't personally know exactly what they would have in common, but I will wait.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sat.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
I'm here. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm listening.
Give it
I'm
to me.
looking. I'm reading.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yes, I loved, honestly, all the little moments. Oh my God, especially when you think about when Sloane, like, siphons and, like, she puts her hand on the back of Dane's neck. It's, like, so intimate.
And she tells him, I'm going to hurt you. And he said, don't I know it?
Wait, when does that happen?
That happens when she's siphoning.
Oh my God, I did not remember
When she's
that.
siphoning, I mean, I think he says something. He says it a little bit differently, but, you know.
I was like, that is suggestive.
He says, I know it. Like, she says, I'm going to hurt you, and he says, I know.
Okay.
So it's not, I mean, it's not
You
as
really
suggestive
spiced
as
it up.
I said it. But
That was your interpretation.
that's how I interpreted it, obviously.
How funny that Sloane and Violet were at first, they weren't getting along, and then they both kind of are seemingly going to follow the same trajectory of falling for their wing leader.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. How funny that they have that in common.
Yeah, interesting.
I assume. I mean, technically it's early stages, but I'm like,
But
it's gonna happen.
come on.
It's happening.
We all want it. Rebecca Yarros knows.
She knows.
She knows.
She's setting us up.
Yeah.
It's a
Big
home
time.
run, baby.
Big time. There is a lot of redemption here from Dane overcoming this protective urge that he had over Violet in Fourth Wing, and then also to Dane forming his own opinions about what he's deciding is right and wrong in this whole war that is now unfolding in Iron Flame.
Yeah.
Because that was a big issue there. With, I mean, the first part of that, right? Dane being so protective specifically in Fourth Wing, he has this inability to see Violet as a strong individual capable of making her own choices.
Right.
And here, like what we were talking about with Dane and Sloane, I think he has a better grasp of that when it comes to Sloane being able to do things. And I do think it is a little bit different. I think he doesn't have that history with Sloane that he did with Violet, knowing that Violet has this chronic illness and is hurt a lot more easy and can't do the same things that other riders can do to the extent that they can do them.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that history with Sloane, so it is a little bit different, but it is nice to see him go from someone who wouldn't let Violet do anything to encouraging Sloane, who doesn't want to do anything, to do something.
Right. And honestly, Dane was hilarious in this book. He had a lot of great lines.
He did.
Like, he said something about, I think he, like, learned an entire language, and then they immediately spoke the common tongue.
Yes.
And he was like, why do I even try?
Yeah. Yeah. This was a great book for Dane, too.
Yeah. And then Xaden teaching Violet about which shadows are his. That was something that, when it didn't come up later in this book, I was like, oh no, this is how Violet's gonna kill Xaden at some point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? This is when he was professor and they were doing the signet sparring.
It did come up in this book, yes.
Yeah. Well, it came up, but then she didn't use it again.
Oh, like, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
He made a point
like,
of,
it only happened that one time. And
right.
Then, yes.
And I was kind of hopeful, like, well, maybe there will be another secret purpose that doesn't have to do with killing him, because he did specifically tell her, like, this is so you know how to kill me. The fact that she never got to use that knowledge, basically, is a little like, ooh.
But moving forward, maybe?
Yeah, I fear that it means that that's how she's going to kill him.
Yes, I think moving forward it is going to have a bigger role, because it seems like something that wouldn't have been brought up if it wasn't meant to have a bigger role, especially because I'm almost certain that Rebecca Yarros used that scene to promote the book.
Yes, it's on the back of the book.
Yeah, so, I mean, that feels important.
Yeah. You know, we started this episode talking about chronic illness. I'm going to end it talking about chronic illness because I also appreciated Sawyer's journey. Obviously, this is slightly different. It's disability, but it's kind of all under the same vein as far as how we treat these things in society. And I really appreciated getting to see Sawyer's journey because I feel like there's kind of two lenses of how people approach chronic illness when they know someone that has a chronic illness. It's either kind of, say, the situation that we saw with Violet, right, where she's grown up with this and people are a little overly worried about herself and maybe are overly protective when really we should put trust that she knows how her body works and that she can handle her own limitations, right? But then there's also kind of the other side of the coin where there's a lot of people who get chronic illnesses later in life, or maybe they get worse later in life, which was the case for me, where you might run into more people who are trying to push you to do the same things that you used to be able to do, and you can't anymore, or at least it's going to take some time to get back to where you were. And so I really liked that we got to see Sawyer struggle with this because it felt very real. And not only that, we also kind of saw the way that, say, Ree was also pushing him a little bit, and he was like, to be frank, you don't understand what I'm going through. And I think that's so fair and something good to keep in mind, to see both those sides of, on one hand, yes, don't tell people with chronic illnesses basically what they can or can't do on either side of it.
I think Rebecca Yarros does a really good job of not only being inclusive of, say, people with chronic illnesses and disabilities, but just like minorities, I guess, in general.
Right. The fact that everyone's sexuality is so fluid. We have a non-binary character.
A lot of different characters from different backgrounds with different abilities. And Rebecca Yarros does a really good job of bringing that to life in, you know, a world that isn't like our own, where you maybe wouldn't think to do that. She does a really good job with that.
And I love it too because it's always, you know, things that you would think are a big obstacle in this world. Like, I mean, technically we did see, like, Violet and her struggles through Fourth Wing and, you know, again with Sawyer. But, like, say, for instance, Justinia's deaf and a lot of people know sign. Like, it's almost odd that Sawyer doesn't know sign and everyone else does around him. These are definitely things that we are going to be keeping an eye on in the coming books because we're nearing the end of, you know, this series now. So we need answers, Rebecca.
Yes.
And I have full faith. We're going to get answers.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
I am too.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how this all plays out as we kind of enter the end game of the series.
Yeah.
You know? But in the meantime, we're probably just going to have to put our brains together to start piecing together the puzzle of our next book.
Yes, because we are going to be genre hopping over to a mystery thriller called Everyone is Watching by Heather Gudenkauf.
This Everyone is Watching book club episode is going to come out Tuesday, May 6th, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But before that one comes out, we do have an off-the-shelf episode coming out Tuesday, April 22nd. So put that on your calendars as well. Thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of our soon-to-be hit podcast, Read Receipts with Carly and Sam. All of the content that you hear in this episode is curated, edited, and recorded by us truly, with special thanks to the authors of the books that we read and Pixabay for the music that we play. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you like to listen. And for more of our content in between shows, give us a follow at the Read Receipts Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also like all of our posts, leave us some comments because we do love to see that as well. Until our next read, bye!